marketers, right? As founders that are focused on building brands that have community, brands that have loyalty, our brand is incredibly important. And for a lot of B2B businesses, this is the majority of the businesses that I work with are B2B. Um, I find that brand could be oftentimes an afterthought for a lot of founders. And this is a big mistake because the B2B businesses that spend time really building that brand foundation, really carving out unique selling points, really infusing brand values, brand pillars into all of the things that are executed for marketing, this makes a huge difference. And if you get a real good handle on building a valuable brand in the B2B space, you're already going to be ahead of your competitors. Hello, and welcome to this very special New Year's edition of the Scalable Marketing Machine Podcast. If you are hearing this in real time, it is January. We've crossed over into a brand new year, and so we're asking ourselves these questions, which is, how are we going to make this year our best year yet? And that is exactly what we're going to talk about today, and specifically going to talk about the blueprint for success, one that you can put in place that's going to help drive revenue this year. And so I wanted to kind of bring back sort of all of the things that we talk about here on the Scalable Marketing Machine to its core framework, because I'm a huge proponent of mastering the basics. Okay. And so through my 15-year plus career as a marketer, as a marketing director, and a fractional chief marketing officer, I've learned a lot of hard lessons. And through these hard lessons, I've been able to develop a framework, a repeatable framework that works time and time again for building profitable marketing programs inside of growth startups and scale ups. And so while I talk about a lot of different aspects of marketing, this core framework is literally the base of every single thing that I do to help businesses thrive and help build repeatable systems for driving revenue and driving leads into businesses. And this is the framework that I want to bring you back to today, because starting now in the beginning of the year, if you can really understand the core elements of what makes a successful marketing program in your business, you're going to be able to grow and scale without burnout, without putting in more hours. Because in my experience for founders, especially female founders that tend to be the drivers of marketing themselves, you can get quite far with brute strength, with like really putting in your time, because marketing is a huge time suck, honestly, right? All of the things we have to do for marketing. And so I have found that for me, right, someone that has worked as a fractional chief marketing officer, fractional marketing director, whatever you want to call it, the core function that I have been in for many, many years is having to manage multiple teams at the same time. So one of the interesting experiences that I have, and why I think that I'm so qualified to be teaching this to you, is because since I'm not a marketing agency, I don't have a marketing team that I bring to each and every client. I actually tailor make teams for the clients that I work with. And I find that this is incredibly important for really getting results out of your marketing team on a consistent basis. Because if you're in the growth and scale mode, sort of outsourcing everyone and not building a true team within your business, that's what you need to focus on. That's going to get you to the next level. You can get pretty far with, just agencies and sort of freelancers. But when you're really ready to double down on growth, you need to start building a team. It doesn't mean that you need employees, right? They don't have to all be full-time employees, but we need to start thinking of the people that work in our business as a true team. And we need to start fostering their development and really leading them instead of sort of getting our hands dirty, wearing a million hats, running around like a chicken without a head. And when I first started as a fractional chief marketing officer, you know, it was real trial by fire having to manage all of these different teams. And it wasn't until I found my groove and really found a system that worked repeatedly that I was able to build profitable programs for multiple businesses at the same time. So if I can do this for 5, 6 businesses at the same time with different teams, then you surely can do it with your own team. And again, it's about mastering the basics. So again, this is the foundation of everything that I talk about, okay? Because there are 4 specific elements to building what I call a scalable marketing machine. And we need all 4 of these pieces in place in order to really scale and grow. And I've seen this again, I've worked with teams that are earlier in their stages. This applies even to early stage teams, but I've also worked with companies and founders that have had $1 million months, that have built $1 billion businesses. I've learned from some of the top entrepreneurs in North America. And I have seen that this system works again and again. So what are these 4 pieces of the scalable marketing machine? First and foremost, and this is something that we're going to talk about in great length over the next couple episodes, is about your brand. And as marketers, right, as founders that are focused on building brands that have community, brands that have loyalty, our brand is incredibly important. And for a lot of B2B businesses, this is the majority of the businesses that I work with are B2B. I find that brand could be oftentimes an afterthought for a lot of founders. And this is a big mistake because the B2B businesses that spend time really building that brand foundation, really carving out unique selling points, really infusing brand values, brand pillars into all of the things that are executed for marketing, this makes a huge difference. And if you get a real good handle on building a valuable brand in the B2B space, you're already going to be ahead of your competitors because there's so many mediocre brands out there that are spinning their wheels quite hard, spending a lot of money on outbound marketing because they don't have a brand that helps to sell. They don't have a brand that sells, that stands out. And this is something that I want you to consider this year, going into the new year, really taking stock at, do I have a solid brand? And there's many different layers that you can consider when you're creating and crafting a brand. And we're going to walk through a lot of those steps in subsequent episodes in upcoming weeks. But for the scalable marketing machine and these 4 sort of core table legs of the framework, brand is that first table leg. And yeah, you want to make sure that you have a logo that's appealing and colors that are appealing, and you want to have a general philosophy and sort of an opinion and way of doing business that stands out. But the most important thing about brand when it comes to selling and driving revenue is brand communication. How well are you communicating to your ideal client how you solve their problem, right? How are you matching their pain points to your solution? And many times when I go into working with founders, I find that if a business has reached a plateau, so to speak, of revenue and they just can't push through, it's because oftentimes their brand communication has faltered in some way. Either they've started to get a little bit confusing because they've deviated from some of the core messages that they had that used to work for them, or they sort of are not saying things in a way that connects with the target client in the moment right now. Because year after year, our target client, the things that are on their minds, the things that their worries, their concerns, it changes a lot. And the factors that play into that are, economic factors. There could be just, political atmosphere. There could be big innovations happening. All of these things kind of play into the psychology of our target client. And when I'm assessing and kind of auditing businesses, when I first start working with clients, this is something, the first step I always go through is really assessing how well is your brand being communicated, and does the messaging that you have on your ads, on your landing pages, on your website, are they really connecting and moving your ideal client into action? And there's a lot of ways that we can measure this in terms of the data we collect on how, conversion rates on ads and conversion rates on landing pages. These are all going to give us big indication as to whether we're communicating effectively our brand. And again, oftentimes when I'm going into projects, and this is a good insight for you to do on your own, if you found that you've sort of hit that plateau in your business, you can't kind of move out of a certain revenue zone. I find that what's usually at fault, it's not the product or service. And this is a huge mistake that I see so many founders going into, and often something that I have to unravel when I start working with businesses, is that oftentimes when that plateau is hit, the idea is that there's something wrong with the product or service, that they start rejigging their offers, they start creating new products, when oftentimes it's not the product or service that's flawed. It's the way that you're talking about it that's where the issue is, right? We're not talking about it in a way that's connecting with our target client. And so I don't want you to go into this year thinking that you have to create a new offer, or you have to create a new product, and then spend the whole year sort of crafting that and trying to figure out the messaging that works, and then get to the end of the year and realize that you have not hit your revenue goals because you've essentially wasted a good chunk of time sort of in this entrepreneurial lab trying to create something new when maybe it wasn't necessarily the solution that you should have been working on all year. So before you think, like if you're going into 2025, right, this year right now, thinking, I'm going to create a new offer because what I'm doing is not working, I beg you to take pause and do a little bit of an audit here on how your brand is being communicated and see if we can improve the copy, improve our headlines, improve our hooks, improve our calls to action. And it may be even as nuanced as improving our, literally the design, the graphics of ads, or the user experience, right? How is your landing page actually designed? These things will also support very much moving our target clients into action. So taking stock of our brand communication. So I said there's 4 main parts of the scalable marketing machine. Brand is the first table leg in the situation. Once we have our brand dialed in, right? We have our brand communication dialed in. We know what are the messages that will connect and move our target client into action. And by the way, if you're saying like, I don't know where to start here, again, we're going to have subsequent episodes in the next couple of weeks. It's going to move you through very specific tactics on how you can nail that brand communication. But the next step is really developing your marketing strategy, right? We don't want to be moving through the year throwing spaghetti at the wall. We want to be executing our marketing based on a proven system. And the system that I use, the basis of all of the marketing strategies that I build, is what I call the 24/7 marketing flywheel. We want our marketing strategy to be working for us, okay? This means that every single thing we execute in marketing is connected. Everything we execute is working towards one unifying system that helps push this flywheel around and around to sort of ensure that you always have a steady pipeline of leads coming into your business. And that once they come into your business, they're being nurtured, they're being asked to, invited to purchase with you or to work with you. And all of this most of it we can put on autopilot, right? And then we can just continue to improve and iterate on that system in a very deliberate way. And this is the difference between throwing spaghetti at the wall versus executing against a proven system. When you execute against a proven system, the way that you look at marketing completely changes, because what you're doing is sort of batch creating things. You're putting it into action, and then you're watching the data to see how it actually performs. You're getting that feedback loop, and then you're bringing in relevant experts if needed to help improve the different parts of the flywheel. But when you don't have a system set up, it's like you don't even know where the breakdown is, right? You don't even know what's working and what's not working. And oftentimes when we're piecemealing our marketing strategy together, this is what happens, and it wastes a ton of time. Okay, so what is the 24/7 marketing flywheel? The 24/7 marketing flywheel is our 6-step process that we always have to have churning. And that process is really, how are we reaching brand new people, right? And that is the awareness phase. How are we reaching brand new people each and every week, each and every day, each and every hour, right? We have to have ways of always getting in front of brand new audiences. How are we bringing them into our world, connecting with them, engaging with them, right? The second step is engage. Then how are we nurturing them? How are we building that like and trust factor, getting them ready to purchase with us, right? How are we inviting them to actually move forward and make that purchase with us? How are we delighting them in their experience with us that makes them so happy and excited that they eventually recommend us to friends or family, right? So this is our 6-step system. And when we are executing marketing based on the system, we are literally, to start, if you're like, I don't know what you're talking about, okay, we've got these six stages, right, that I went through briefly, right? We've got the awareness phase, which is that first stage. Then we have this engage phase, which is how are we connecting with those brand new people that we just got introduced to, and having them raise their hand to say, yes, I'm interested in what you do. This could mean giving us an email address, giving us a phone number for text messages, following us on social media. After that is nurture, right? What is the content strategy we have in place? A content strategy that really moves people through the sales process. Okay. After that is invite. Do we have a systematic way of inviting people to actually take the next step with us? That's like promotions, campaigns. Do we have a promotional calendar throughout the year that is systematically being executed on, right? Delight. How are we surprising and delighting our customers, our clients, once they actually purchase with us? How are we making sure that they're so happy and satisfied that we're exceeding their expectations, so much so that they're going to recommend us to their family or their friends or their communities? And then last but not least is advocate. Do we have a system in place for asking for testimonials, doing case studies, ways that we're going to have our happy, successful clients and customers help to fill that pipeline again? And that is how the flywheel sort of keeps ever flowing, leads into our business and revenue into our business. So I want you to go into this year really thinking about these 6 stages, these 6 steps, and asking yourself. You can do a quick audit, just like the brand audit. Do a quick audit and say, do I have something in place for each one of these steps? Like, do I have a tactic that I'm executing on to actually make sure that I have a full and thriving flywheel? One pro tip that I will share is that oftentimes when people get introduced to this flywheel concept, they see that they have often, a few different strategies rolling for each one of these stages, and then subsequently maybe nothing rolling for some of the other stages, right? And so it's unbalanced, and there's essentially like a leak in the funnel, right? There's like a hole in this flywheel, right? Um, and what I would encourage you to do this year is say, okay, I want to make sure that there's one tactic that's going for each one of these stages, and make sure that this one tactic is actually working the way it should. So that means one awareness strategy. If I'm doing ads, let me just focus on ads completely, right? Take first Q1 to say, how can I make sure that ads are working before I get another awareness strategy going, right? Really give it the time that it needs. Because oftentimes with marketing, we are doing so many things, so many disparate actions, that we're not being methodical, we're not being systemized, we're unable to see what's working or not working because we're not really giving it the attention that it needs. And I think we underestimate how much time, energy, attention it takes to make sure that a specific tactic is working, right? Ads are incredibly complicated, right? So you have an ads manager. Hopefully you're not doing them yourself unless it's something that you're trained to do. But even with an ads manager, working hand in hand with them to develop the creative, to develop the messaging, to be putting, testing different creatives and different copy and getting that feedback loop and making sure that audiences are sound. I think a big mistake is sort of just like passing these things off to team members or even to contractors and then just thinking they've got it completely handled. I've made this mistake time and time again. You have to be involved. You have to be on top, especially in a growing business, right? A growth startup and scale up. You have to be incredibly involved to make sure that the quality is there, that you're hitting the right messages to the right people in an awareness stage. And so it does take a lot of time, energy, and effort, right? Engage, right? Instead of having several different lead magnets or way of collecting people's information, really trying one tactic, give it 90 days to see, is this working? Can we get this performing better? So really taking your time piece by piece to build out a full and thriving flywheel, because your job as a founder when it comes to marketing is to build out that flywheel and then to iterate and improve upon it. That is literally all you have to do for marketing. And when you think about it that way, I think things become much simpler, right? And understanding that you have to eat the whale just bite by bite. You cannot, not everything for marketing is going to be perfect straight off the bat. Okay. So we've got, going back to our 4 parts of the scalable marketing machine, we've got our brand communication strategy. We've got our brand communication. We've got our marketing strategy, which is our 24/7 marketing flywheel. The last 2 pieces of this is our team. Number 3 is making sure that we have the right team, the right people on the bus, which is that lovely quote by Jim Collins, who I absolutely adore, the author of Good to Great. We want the right people on the bus, because when we build out a well thought out 24/7 marketing flywheel, we need to look at that and say, for all of these tactics that we are executing for this flywheel, do we have the right people doing the right things? And when we're ready to grow to the next level, this is when we need to start making very measured, very conscious investments in parts of the marketing strategy that's really going to drive the results that we need. This doesn't mean that we need like the top A players to do every single thing in our marketing if it doesn't really, if it's not in our budget, right? But we can look at the flywheel and we can say, what's working, we can kind of just like whatever's working, we don't have to fiddle with too much. We can kind of just like let it go. Whomever's executing it can execute it. But for the things that are not working, I would have you consider bringing on even a consultant or having an agency do an audit or whatever, any of the pieces that are not performing the way that you would like or you would need, to start supplementing with people that maybe are a little bit more experienced. Because at the end of the day, those small investments that you make are going to turn into massive revenue for you in the future, right? These small investments are what you need to do in your business to get to the next level. So you want to assess your team and say, do I have the right people working with me, working for me in executing this 24/7 flywheel? Where are the loose pieces or the weaker pieces in my brand and in my marketing strategy? And then bringing in some people to help supplement to get a little bit of expertise to kind of raise the bar for everything that you're doing in your business. So we've got brand communication, we've got marketing strategy, next we've got team, and last but not least, we have leadership, okay? When you're ready to jump to the next level of revenue, when you're ready to make real moves in your business, and I know you want to do that this year, you need to stop being the executor of all things. You need to relinquish control a little bit and start to become a leader of your business, but especially in your marketing. And again, I'm focused so much on marketing, and I believe that marketing is the linchpin for many businesses, for good or for bad, because if you get sucked into the marketing, it's the one thing that can take all of your time and really take you away from other important pieces of your business, right? So when you step into shoes of leader, or if you step into shoes of true CEO of your business, you are leading people to success. You are managing outcomes and not people. And this is what I really want for you this year as well. I want you to understand, and this is so important, what does success look like for sales and for marketing? That means setting real KPIs. That means managing and supporting your team and treating them as a true team. getting the right people on the bus, really managing the process instead of managing the people and managing the little tasks. This is going to get not only your business, but you personally to the next level as a founder. And so that could look like, again, watching the data, really being connected to productive, consistent, intentional meetings on a regular basis with your team. And for leadership, I always think of three specific things that I would love for you to implement this year. You want to have really good conscious goal planning sessions with your team. So if you've been working, the last couple of weeks on goals by yourself, but you haven't had a group team meeting to talk about your goals and to set KPIs for your team so the team knows what tasks are they responsible for when it comes to the goals that you have for the quarter, for the year. What does success look like? That means KPIs. That means real targets. And that target could be like a qualitative target, meaning, they have to execute a certain action, X amount of times a week, or they have to produce this volume of content or posts or whatever. Or it could be a quantitative, like they have to reach a certain number, right? A certain number of leads, a certain percentage of engagement. You want them to understand what does success look like. And then you can start managing those outcomes instead of just managing the small tasks. So you want a really good goal session where you explain all this to your team, get their buy-in, get their creative ideas, get them excited. Tell them what the targets are, what they're aiming for, right? That's a goal planning session you need to do each and every quarter. And then you want to set up regular weekly marketing meetings with everyone that's working with you in your business for marketing. And this could be the biggest game changer you put into action this year. That means if you have a freelancer, if you have a social media manager, if you have a virtual assistant, if you have an agency, instead of talking to them separately and you being sort of the point of communication, you bring everyone together for one weekly marketing meeting. That doesn't mean you're not talking to them on other days, but I'm saying we need to get them together once a week with a very tight agenda when it comes to marketing, to look at the goals, to look at the marketing scorecard, and to help support people. You have a discussions portion of the meeting where you're helping to support people, either creative brainstorming, if there's roadblocks, but using the experience and the ideas of everyone working in your business. So you're not just the sole problem solver all the time, right? You leverage the experience of everyone that's working with you. And then the third meeting that I would suggest as a leader is a one-on-one with some of your key players. This could be once a week, once a month, once a quarter, but I would say get together with them for a 30-minute meeting for those key people and really connect on a deeper level and really support them, right? Support their growth, understand where they want to go in their careers, what's going on in their lives, how do they feel they're doing in their role, where do they need support, right? That's how we start to turn from just being the heads down executor, micromanager of everyone, into stepping into the shoes of CEO and leader of your business. So this is the Scalable Marketing Machine. This are the four pieces of the puzzle that are going to help you build a ROI-driven marketing program, one that's going to give you back your time, right? End that overwhelm when it comes to marketing, but also it's going to help just drive massive revenue and growth in your business, right? Because you are not just doing everything yourself. You are actually leading a real business into growth. Okay. So yes, these pieces can be as simple as complicated as you make them. But I really encourage you to take a look at these four areas of your business. And if you are saying, I really need some help on how to get all of this done, well, that is why I have the Scalable Marketing Machine Accelerator, which is a 1-year program where we go through all of these steps together. Okay. You get all of my playbooks, all of my templates on how I actually build the playbooks for each part of this, right? Brand playbook, marketing growth strategy playbook, team playbook, leadership playbook. I teach you how to interpret the data, how to lead the team. You get my exact meeting agenda, all of my templates, all of my SOPs. You basically learn how to be the leader of your marketing. And this is really ideal for someone that, revenue wise isn't quite ready to get a full-time marketing director or even a fractional CMO on board for a long term, but it's like a chicken and an egg, but you really need that high level strategy and execution support in order to get to the next level. So I would really encourage you to check out the Scalable Marketing Machine Accelerator. You get me personally in your business each and every week. We meet every single Friday for 1 hour. We go through all of your roadblocks. We go through your data. We look at scorecard together. I help you hire the right people, build job descriptions, strategize, anything that you need. We meet once a week in addition to all of the resources that you get through the accelerator. So if you're interested in that, you can check out Ugly Ventures. That's ugly with an I. So ugliventures.com/accelerator. And you can get all of the information there. I would love to have you there and join our small cohort of female founders that are just making huge strides in their business. So that's my 2 cents for how we're going to get to the next level in this upcoming year. Okay, building our scalable marketing machine, always keeping that 10,000 foot view of our business and of our marketing and sales efforts. That's going to change everything. Not getting caught up in the weeds. Your biggest value that you bring to your business as a leader is to maintain that high level view, that bird's eye view of everything that is going on. And yes, you have to balance. You're still going to have to wear all those hats. You're still going to have to execute on those little things time and again during this year. But the idea is to help extract yourself from the menial sort of smaller value tasks so you can really just work on the things that bring massive value to your business, which is growing the company, right? Growing as a leader. And so if you are excited to get started and thinking of that first step that I mentioned about brand, I've got a great resource for you. So if you go to uglyventures.com, again, ugly with an I, /resources, there are several downloadable free guides that will help walk you through building that brand that gets people talking, that brand that helps sell for you, building that sales focused marketing strategy and all of those 6 stages of the flywheel that we talked about. There's lots of juicy resources there. They're all free. I would love for you to check them out. And as I said, in the next couple of weeks, we're digging deep into brand communication, because that is the first important stage of our scalable marketing machine. And I want to make sure that you feel confident and set up going into this next year with a brand that stands out, a brand that really helps to sell for you. So tune back in next week. I can't wait to see you. We're talking all about connecting with our target client, okay? And helping to move them into action with an amazing brand communication strategy. So I hope to see you back here next week. Until then, Happy New Year. I'm so excited for all there is to come, all that you're going to accomplish this year. And I'm going to be here right with you, cheering you on. And I'll see you next week.